Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin with a simple yet powerful truth. Leadership is not a title. It is not a position. It is a function of purpose. You do not become a leader because someone called you one. You become a leader because you discovered why you were born and committed to becoming the answer to someone else's problem. Young people of Burundi, you are not the leaders of tomorrow. You are the leaders of preparation today. Your time is not coming. Your time is here, but preparation is the passport to leadership. Each of you carries within you untapped potential gifts, ideas, innovations, and wisdom waiting to be revealed. But potential is like a seed. It does not benefit anyone unless it is cultivated. You must pursue knowledge. You must invest in discipline. And above all, you must protect your minds from the distractions that seek to abort your destiny. A nation is only as strong as the vision of its youth. We do not transform a country through imported ideas, but through inspired minds. Burundi will not be changed by money alone. It will be changed when young men and women begin to see the nation, not for what it is, but for what it can be. The real question is not who will lead Burundi. The real question is who will be prepared to lead Burundi well. What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your education? What are you feeding your mind? Because your future leadership will be a reflection of your current preparation. Burundi does not need more followers. Burundi needs youth who are willing to take responsibility before they demand rights. Youth who understand that service precedes promotion, that problems are invitations for purpose to be revealed. And leadership is not about applause. It's about impact. As you rise, remember, the soil does not produce fruit from a seed that refuses to die. Sacrifice is the price of greatness. You must be willing to surrender comfort for calling and popularity for principles. If you want to become the future leaders of Burundi, do not wait for permission. Start leading where you are in your home, your school, your neighborhood. Start asking, what problem can I solve? What vision do I carry? Leadership is one of the most misunderstood concepts in our modern world. For many, it is defined by positions, titles, or the amount of influence a person has over others. This mindset is especially dangerous because it causes young people to chase status instead of discovering true purpose. And in the context of Burundi, a nation filled with vibrant and visionary youth, it is crucial to understand that leadership does not begin when someone gives you a title. Leadership begins the moment you discover your personal reason for existence and begin living it out with discipline, clarity, and service to others. When we define leadership by position, we reduce it to a matter of hierarchy. We assume someone is a leader simply because they are in front of others, have a microphone, or control a budget. But history and reality show us that there are many people in positions of power who are not leading. They're simply occupying space. Leadership is not about sitting at the top of an organization or wearing a uniform. It is about using your life to fulfill a purpose bigger than yourself. And purpose does not come from people, it comes from within. It comes from asking the question, why was I born? What problem am I here to solve? What legacy am I meant to leave? Purpose is the foundation of authentic leadership. It gives direction, it gives energy, and it gives meaning to every action. A person of purpose does not need a title to lead because their life naturally influences others through vision, conviction, and example. Purpose is what allows a young man to organize change in his community even when he has no money. Purpose is what gives a young woman the courage to speak truth even when no one is listening yet. When a youth discovers their purpose, leadership becomes automatic, not because they are pushing themselves forward, but because people begin to follow someone who knows where they are going. The youth of Burundi must understand that leadership is not something you wait to be appointed to. It is something you grow into by becoming excellent in what you were born to do. Purpose transforms you from a passive observer of life into an active solution bearer. It shifts your mindset from entitlement to responsibility. Leaders are not people who want to be seen. They are people who are willing to serve. Purpose teaches you that your life is not your own. You exist to make the lives of others better. You exist to lift your nation higher. This principle also teaches us that leadership is not age-bound. A young person can lead an entire movement if they are driven by purpose. Some of the world's greatest revolutions, inventions, and social transformations were initiated by young people who discovered a cause greater than themselves. They were not waiting for approval from society. They were responding to an inner calling. In the same way, the youth of Burundi must reject the lie that leadership starts when you're older, richer, or more connected. If you have discovered your purpose, then you have already begun your journey as a leader, whether the world recognizes it yet or not. Another danger of associating leadership with position is that it creates dependency. It causes people to believe that unless they are elected, employed in high offices, or placed in formal roles, they are disqualified from making a difference. But some of the most impactful leaders are those who never held formal titles. They led by example. They led by excellence. They led by solving problems no one else was willing to solve. This kind of leadership cannot be voted in and it cannot be voted out. It comes from purpose, and purpose is eternal. There is a great need for this kind of leadership. The country does not just need more politicians or business owners. It needs young people who are fully committed to their purpose, educators, engineers, artists, writers, farmers, and thinkers who are not looking for fame, but who are driven to create a better future through vision and service. Whenever youth begins to see their work, their passion, and their talents as tools for leadership, the entire nation is elevated. True leadership begins with self-discovery. Until you know who you are, you cannot lead anyone else. A person who lacks personal identity will always seek leadership as a way to feel important. But a person of purpose does not need to chase importance. They carry influence because their life has direction. Burundi's future will not be shaped by those who simply chase political power or social status. It will be shaped by those who lead from a place of purpose, youth who understand that leadership is not given, it is grown. And that growth begins with discovering why you are here. Potential is one of the most powerful, yet most misunderstood forces within a human being. It is invisible by nature, yet it holds the capacity to create visible transformation. Every young person in Burundi is born with potential, not just a few, not just the gifted, not just the privileged. Every single youth, whether they live in the city or the village, whether they attend a university or work in the fields, carries within them the seed of greatness. This potential is not something you earn. It is something you are born with. It is hidden power, silent but real, unseen, but waiting to be activated. The tragedy of many lives is not that people lack talent, but that they never discovered or developed what they already had. Potential is like a treasure buried deep inside the soil. From the outside, the land may look empty, but within it are precious minerals waiting to be mined. The same is true for a young person. From the outside, people may see nothing special, just another teenager, another student, another worker. But inside that young person could be a solution to Burundi's energy crisis, a cure for a disease, a movement that changes generations. The problem is not the absence of potential. It is the absence of discovery. Just as a seed needs the right environment to grow, potential needs to be nurtured. You cannot expect your gift to grow if you do not invest in it. That means reading books, asking questions, learning from elders, experimenting with your skills, and daring to dream bigger than your current situation. Too many young people waste time comparing themselves to others instead of developing what is already in their hands. Comparison is the enemy of growth. You do not need to be like someone else to make an impact. You only need to become the best version of yourself. Another reality of potential is that it is not loud. It does not announce itself with noise or popularity. It often hides behind simplicity, struggle, or silence. A young woman working in a small tailor shop may hold the mind of a fashion entrepreneur who could one day export Burundian designs across the world. A young man planting cassava on his father's land may hold the vision for an agricultural transformation that feeds thousands. The problem is not their environment. It is the awareness of their inner ability. What you see around you is temporary, but what is inside of you is eternal if you are willing to develop it.
Where youth make up the majority of the population, the greatest national resource is not in the land, it is in the people.
Minerals can run out. Oil can dry up. But the minds of young men and women are an unlimited source of ideas, innovations, and influence. Potential is a renewable resource, but only when it is tapped. That is why young people must begin to ask different questions. Instead of asking, what can someone give me? Begin to ask, what is inside me that I have not used yet? Instead of saying, I'm waiting for opportunities, ask, what can I start with what I already have? Potential is often hidden behind problems. This means that challenges are not enemies, they are invitations. When a young person sees a broken system, a lack of clean water, a failed education policy, or unemployment, those are not signs to complain. They are signals that someone must rise, that someone could be you. In fact, many of the world's most influential leaders, inventors, and thinkers rose from environments where things were broken. It was their ability to respond to need that unlocked their potential. So if you see problems in your country or community, don't run from them. They may be the very place where your purpose will come alive. It is also important to note that potential without discipline is dangerous. Talent alone is not enough. Many young people have powerful dreams, but they are lazy. They lack consistency. They start things but never finish them. This kills potential. Potential grows where there is focus, commitment, and sacrifice. Just as a diamond must be cut and polished to reveal its brilliance, your abilities must go through pressure and process. Growth is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. If you avoid difficulty, you are also avoiding destiny. The youth of Burundi must become aware that they are walking with invisible wealth. It is not measured in money or material things. It is measured in the ideas you have not yet written down, the songs you have not yet sung, the businesses you have not yet started, and the problems you have not yet solved. All of that is already within you. It is simply waiting for action. If this generation can wake up to the value of their hidden power, Burundi will not only be influenced by others, it will begin to influence the world. Every nation that has ever risen to greatness has done so because of visionaries. Visionaries are not just dreamers. They are individuals who see beyond the present reality into a future that does not yet exist, and they are willing to work, suffer, and sacrifice to bring that future into being. Visionaries are the architects of nations. They're the ones who carry blueprints of change in their hearts and minds. Without vision, a country is left to wander. It may have resources, it may have policies, it may have institutions, but if it lacks visionaries, it will eventually crumble under the weight of confusion, corruption, and complacency. For Burundi to rise, it will not depend solely on natural wealth, international aid, or external validation. Its rise depends on the presence, the preparation, and the activation of visionaries, particularly among its youth. The most dangerous enemy to progress is not poverty. It is the absence of vision. A nation can survive without riches, but it cannot survive without direction. When the youth of a country lose sight of what is possible, they begin to settle for survival. They stop creating, they stop building, and they stop believing that they can shape the destiny of their land. Vision gives people purpose. It gives them the strength to endure hardship and the courage to fight for what is right. In the absence of vision, people waste their talents and societies decay. Burundi's future will not be determined by external forces. It will be determined by how many young people rise up with a vision greater than their circumstances. A visionary is someone who sees what others cannot see. Where some see problems, the visionary sees. Where others complain about what is wrong, the visionary begins to imagine how things could be right. In Burundi, there is no shortage of problems, but that means there is also no shortage of opportunity. The presence of challenges in education, healthcare, agriculture, infrastructure, and governance is not a curse. It is a calling. It is a call for young men and women to rise and take responsibility for building the future they want to live in. Visionaries do not wait for permission. They initiate change. They understand that tomorrow is built by those who take action today. What separates visionaries from the rest is their ability to endure difficulty without giving up. The process of building a nation is not quick or easy. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes long-term thinking. Many people want instant success, but visionaries understand that true transformation is a journey. It is like planting a tree. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it, and only after years of faithfulness does it begin to bear fruit. In the same way, the youth must learn to think generationally. They must ask, what kind of Burundi do I want to leave behind for those who come after me? That question alone can ignite a fire of purpose and creativity. It is also important to realize that visionaries are not always popular. Often, they are misunderstood, criticized, or ignored, especially in the beginning. But their commitment is not based on the applause of people. It is based on conviction. They are driven by something internal. They are willing to stand alone if necessary because they see what others do not yet understand. Every great movement in history began with one or two people who were bold enough to dream beyond what existed. They were often young, full of questions, full of energy, and unwilling to accept the status quo. That is what Burundi needs today, not just followers, not just professionals, not just consumers, but creators and builders who dare to reimagine what the nation can become. A visionary is not someone who simply wants a better life for themselves. That is ambition. Vision goes beyond self. It is about lifting others. It is about impacting communities. It is about creating systems that work for generations. Vision inspires others to rise. It is contagious. One young person with a clear vision can awaken a whole school, a village, a province. That is the power of vision. It multiplies leadership, it breeds innovation, and it gives birth to national transformation. Burundi's history is not yet finished. The next chapter is waiting to be written, and the pens are in the hands of its youth. What needs to happen now is the cultivation of vision. Youth must be encouraged not only to dream, but to study, plan, and execute. Vision is not just about ideas. It must be paired with discipline and strategy. Schools, families, religious institutions, and communities must begin to nurture young visionaries, not just job seekers. They must begin to ask young people not only what do you want to be, but also what problem are you called to solve? That question alone can unlock vision. And when vision is unlocked, leadership is born, and the nation begins to rise. Character is the invisible foundation upon which all true leadership is built. Without character, leadership is dangerous. Without character, influence becomes manipulation, power becomes abuse, and authority becomes corruption. In the context of a developing nation like Burundi, where the need for effective and transformative leadership is urgent, the role of character cannot be overstated. The future of any society does not only depend on how educated or talented its youth are, but on how morally grounded and ethically consistent they choose to be. Leadership is not about how much you know or how well you speak. It is about how well you live when no one is watching. Character is not built in the spotlight. It is formed in private, in silence, and in the daily choices that shape who a person is becoming. It is not proven during times of comfort, but tested in seasons of pressure. When young people are trained to value image over integrity, they become performers, not leaders. A true leader does not adjust their principles to please people or gain applause. They stand firm even when it costs them something. This is the kind of leadership Burundi needs, not flashy, not temporary, but steady and trustworthy. Character gives a leader the strength to make decisions that are right, not just popular. One of the great dangers facing modern leadership is the growing culture of shortcuts. Many people want influence without discipline, success without service, and recognition without responsibility. But character demands the opposite. It requires honesty, humility, patience, and accountability. A young person of character will not cheat to pass an exam because they understand that success built on dishonesty is a form of failure. A leader of character will not use others for personal gain because they recognize that leadership is a sacred trust, a responsibility to protect and uplift, not to exploit. Burundi's history, like many nations, has been shaped by individuals who rose to leadership with charisma but lacked character. When a person without integrity is placed in a position of power, they do not just fail, they destroy. Families suffer. Institutions collapse. Progress is reversed. This is why youth must be taught early that leadership begins with self-governance. You cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. You cannot demand discipline from others if you cannot discipline your own thoughts, desires, and actions. True leadership is not about controlling people. It is about mastering yourself. Character is also the foundation of trust. And trust is the currency of leadership. If people do not trust you, they will not follow you, no matter how skilled or intelligent you are. Trust is not built through speeches. It is built through consistency. It is built when people observe that your words match your actions, that you do not compromise your values for convenience, and that you treat people with respect, even when they can do nothing for you. The youth of Burundi must understand that one act of dishonesty can destroy years of hard-earned trust. That is why it is better to lose an opportunity with integrity than to gain success through corruption. Developing character requires intentional effort. It is not automatic. It must be taught, practiced, and modeled. Families, schools, faith communities, and national leaders all have a role to play in shaping the moral fabric of the next generation. The youth must be surrounded by mentors who do not only speak about ethics, but live them out. They must be taught that strength is not shown through pride, but through restraint. That greatness is not measured by popularity, but by how many lives are improved because of your leadership. In times of national crisis, people do not look for the most talented leader, they look for the most trustworthy one. They look for leaders whose convictions are deeper than their comfort. They seek out people whose character has been proven under pressure. Burundi must raise such leaders, young men and women, whose integrity will not be sold for quick gain, whose loyalty is to justice and truth, and whose influence flows from an authentic life, not from performance. A diploma is powerful, but character is what gives your credentials credibility. Talent will get you noticed, but character will keep you respected. Young people must be reminded that character is built in the small things. It is in showing up on time, telling the truth, honoring your commitments, respecting others, even when they disagree with you. These habits form the backbone of dependable leadership. They are not always glamorous, but they are always necessary. Without them, leadership becomes hollow, full of words, but empty of substance. Burundi's development will require engineers, doctors, entrepreneurs, educators, artists, and politicians, but above all, it will require people of character. Because at the root of every lasting success is a person whose leadership rests not on charm or credentials, but on the unshakable foundation of who they are when no one is watching. Youth is a season of great energy, hope, and potential. It is the time when dreams are born, identities are formed, and strength is abundant. But youth is also a season of preparation, and preparation is not always easy. In every generation, young people are referred to as the seeds of the future. This is true because just like a seed carries within it the full potential of a forest, every young person carries within them the capacity to change a nation. However, what is often forgotten is that a seed does not bear fruit until it first goes through a process of death. A seed must be buried, broken, and transformed before it becomes something fruitful. The same is true for the youth of Burundi. Before greatness can emerge, there must be a process of sacrifice, humility, and growth. Many young people are eager to lead, to succeed, and to be recognized, but few are willing to endure the hidden seasons that are necessary to produce real impact. Just like a seed must disappear beneath the soil and endure darkness before it sprouts, young people must go through quiet seasons where they are being shaped in secret. These are the times when their character is tested, when they must work without recognition, when they must study, serve, and sacrifice while others may seem to be enjoying success. But these seasons are not signs of failure. They are signs of preparation. No seed grows on the surface. The transformation begins in the unseen place. The idea that a seed must die to produce fruit is not about physical death, but about the death of selfishness, pride, laziness, and short-term thinking. A young person who wants to bear fruit in leadership must be willing to die to distractions and desires that waste time and energy. Sacrifice is not a punishment. It is the price of purpose. Many young people want the rewards of leadership without the cost. But just like a seed must surrender its outer shell to release the life within, a young person must be willing to give up temporary comfort in order to unlock their full potential. Greatness is not for the passive. It is for those who are willing to pay the price. One of the greatest obstacles to youth leadership in Burundi and across the world is the culture of entitlement. Some believe that because they are young, educated, or talented, they deserve leadership. But seeds do not bear fruit by demanding it. They bear fruit by yielding to the process. That means listening more than speaking, learning before leading, and serving before commanding. A seed that refuses to die remains a seed forever. It stays small, undeveloped, and unfruitful. In the same way, a youth who refuses to go through the process of discipline and development will never grow into their full capacity. The potential is there, but it remains locked inside. The process of dying to self is also about embracing responsibility. A fruit-bearing tree does not live for itself. Its fruit exists for others. In the same way, young leaders must understand that their lives are not just about personal success. Their purpose is to serve others, to solve problems, and to build something greater than themselves. Leadership is not about how much you can take. It is about how much you can give. The seed does not benefit from its own fruit, others do. That is the essence of servant leadership. Youth must be taught that they are not the future just because of their age, but because of their willingness to serve their generation with integrity and vision. Young people grow frustrated because they do not see immediate results. They compare themselves to others who seem to be advancing faster, getting recognition, or achieving visible success. But growth takes time. The seed that grows too quickly often becomes weak and shallow. Strong roots are formed in seasons of patience and perseverance. If you try to rush the process, you weaken the foundation. That is why it is important for young people to embrace the hidden years to study, to practice, to build relationships, and to learn from mistakes. These are not wasted years. They are foundational years. Every nation that has experienced transformation was influenced by young people who were willing to go through the process of becoming. They chose purpose over popularity. They chose preparation over shortcuts. They were like seeds that chose to die so they could live again in another form, stronger, wiser, and more impactful. Youth must stop waiting for opportunities to find them and begin preparing for the opportunities they cannot yet see. The soil does not reject the seed. It welcomes the one that is ready. In the same way, the future of Burundi is waiting for young people who are ready to be planted, broken, and grown into leaders who will bear lasting fruit.